know. Cannot remember. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So first test. What's the first test?
So the first test. Cannot write code without writing failing test.
Yeah.
Okay. So then just have another one. Just create a game.
Okay.
Create game. Okay. Game. New game. Okay. Then it's not compiled right now.
Yep. Okay. Oh. So let me pass that. So I will create a class. We'll create it inside here so you guys can see all the code and the thing. So here we go. So now this, if I run this code right now, it's green. So we have a green passing. So now I will create the next test. Let's see if we can roll. So game equals new game, and then game dot roll, and we'll pass in the pins. So let's start with 0 right now.
Okay, and it's failing.
And now if you run that, we'll fail.
Okay. So we have a failing test now because it's not even compiled. Right. So we create this method row, and then we have a pin here. Okay, the test is it's test passed. That's good. Okay. We have a duplicate here. We see duplicate code here. Okay, so we want to refactor a little bit.
So now we're going to clean up the test a little bit. We have some duplication.
We have a game.
Yep. Well, watch and see. Watch and see what happens. We'll play with it a little bit. So
yeah, see, like what you.
So there's duplication. Right? You're right.
Right.
We have duplication right now. We're doing the same thing twice. So.
Yeah, and this guy already needs the game to be able to create already, right? So we probably doesn't need it anymore. We turn it into the setup. For this, and this is not needed. And just remove it and it's run. Oh, okay.
So now it passes.
Cool.
So that first test now became our setup.
So the next test is probably about Osman's favorite game, right?
Oh, my favorite game.
Yeah.
Oh, I know my favorite game.
What is it?
What's that? Well, the second one was can roll, just to make sure that we have a roll method. We probably might delete that at the very end. Yeah. It's not going to be necessary, but this is to help us roll out the code slowly. No, you are not allowed to touch the tests. You only write a new test. Yes. We refactored. So we cleaned up the test, you're right. But if we change can roll, if we add some asserts here, then that test is no longer can roll, it's something else. Right? Remember, this is just saying, can I roll? We'll come to it. We'll come to it. Okay. Be patient with us. Because we're going to need it for every single test. We'll need a new game. It does not. It creates a new test class for every single test. Yeah, check and see. I think that it runs the before once and then runs all the test cases inside. That's why we do the setup in there.
It will create. Yeah. It should run before. Yep.
Yes.
To create that game. Yep.
That's right. But it doesn't create the test class new every time. That's right. You are correct.
Right.
You are correct. And that's what we're doing here in the before is we're resetting the class status first. Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
Come to the favorite games. You have a Kata games.
Yeah, that is my favorite game.
All right. So
that's how I like the ball. Creates a brand new class every single time. Oh, okay. Okay. I know. Yep. Sure.
Once again, this is not how you would write code.
Yeah.
This is not how you would write code.
This is just a kata.
Kata, this is an exercise. The goal is not to come up with a solution. The goal is to practice and get the memory and the pattern, the thought process down so well so that as you go through a new factory, when you are looking at your production code, these same techniques come to mind much faster. So, because I hear a lot of, I would do it that way. And that's okay.
Yep.
That's the great thing about coming together as a craftsmanship organization is that everybody's going to do it in a different way and we're going to learn from each other. So I just want to remind everybody that this is not how you expect each other. At least I hope it's not. But there is still value in going through the exercise and practicing techniques.
So in the Kata games, right, we roll all zeros for 20 rolls here. So that means we can have a score of zeros. And this is failing or is that?
Yep.
Right?
So now I have to make this pass. So I will create the score method, and that will return an int.
Would you have done a score test before that to see if everything relies on the score method? Did you instead isolate the score?
Oh, like create a canned score?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it all depends on your approach. So, by the way, this is like Michael was saying. This is one demonstration of how you would solve the bowling kata. There's actually multiple demonstrations of how you would do this. We're going through one iteration of it, and by all means, I mean, we are always self-critical. We always look at stuff and we say we can do this better, and that's always true, by the way, for any solution that we can come up with.
So testing is a little bit hard.
It is your yes,
Right.
but the goal is that you're always trying to approach the problem slowly. So never try to go for the heart of the algorithm straight away. You will end up in a mess. That's what will happen. Go ahead.
So you guys got this sort of like on the only group, so you would have to say you already know what to expect, right?
Yes. You know what? We know what to expect, but we're rolling it out slowly. So even if you know the algorithm by heart, you still roll it out slowly. You roll it out with the tests slowly, incrementally, as you come up to the actual final version of the code.
So you can actually stop the rotation as soon as you go, right?
This.
On the clock. Say, you one of the pairs wants to go this way, another one wants another way, and you do that.
Yeah, when you pick the peg.
Yes. You definitely need to kind of have a little bit of conversation about the approach and how you want to go about solving this problem, and how would you circle it from the outside in all the way until you get to the heart of the algorithm. I actually think that if you disagree with somebody else's test, maybe you can do that by demonstrating another test. Instead of trying to fight on the actual test that you're solving right now, let him write a test. And if the test is too high level, so maybe Tawan would not have started with a gutter game. He would have started with a perfect score game, right? Well, a perfect score game means I have to implement the whole thing. And I can look at him and say, no, that's going to require too much implementation. I can't do that. Let's start with something more simple. Can we start with a simpler game? Yeah. I would say try to let the tests guide you into what's the simplest thing. If you can solve the problem simply with just an array, then why would you create classes? Just try the simple approach. The transformation priority premise that Uncle Bob goes through, he really says, like for example, you'll see in this test returns 0, and this assert now passes. Now, granted, we just played with this game right here. We just played a gutter game, and it passes. And if our implementation was just to implement a game scorer for gutter games, guess what? I'm done. We're not doing anything more than that, because that is good enough. And there is no reason to implement anymore. And yes, anybody who looks at this says, what are you guys doing? This doesn't make any sense. This method does nothing. Well, maybe it complies to some interface that actually requires a role to be there. And this is a gutter game. This would not now be renamed to a gutter game. Maybe. I don't know. Right? But it's possible that right now, when we're in the middle of this, writing this test right now, and we have things passing and we check it in to the code, the product owner walks in and says, hey, priorities changed. We're actually doing a Sudoku game, not a bowling game. You have a game right now that is partially implemented, not complete, but it's workable. There's no code mess in the sense. It's still partial code that you can come back later on and continue on. Now, a lot of us actually work with remote team members, and you'll experience this tonight. A lot of us work with remote team members, and what ends up happening is that you check in this code, they check it out, they have to continue on the same code that you checked in. So if you check in designs, like actual design, like classes that are designs, like I check in frame and I check in game and I link them together and I have no tests against it, what do they do next? Right? They will be lost. The remote team will have no idea, so what are you trying to go with this? And what's the next thing? But if you approach it slowly like we're doing right now, there is a better chance for them to know what you need to do. It's not perfect by any means, but there is a better chance for them to be able to catch on what you're trying to do here and say, okay, so the next test should be, and then they can pick it up from there. So now it's my turn to write the test, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to do right now is maybe instead of, yep.
I'm curious about the form of your assert. I typically see it deploying assert the expected value and followed by
Yes.
the actual
There are two, in the JUnit, there's actually two types of asserts that you can use. There is assert dot equals, for example, and then you say, you pass in what is the expected value and then what's the value. There is another one that reads a little bit better that Kent Beck uses. It reads a little bit better. That's a subjective thing, by the way. So some people don't like this format. But this one, if we static import this assert, then it would read assert that game.score, and then we statically import matches, then it becomes assert that game.score equals 0.
Yeah, I guess I was,
And that would be a logical sentence that you could read.
I was alluding to the actual, the game.score and the expectation.
Yeah.
Is what we want to try to flip it.
You couldn't in the assert that. That's the API for assert that. That's how the API is written. Is you have to assert that the actual is the expected. So he flipped them. Kent Beck is the one that wrote the JUnit framework, and he flipped the order for the assert that reading. Okay. So our next test here is going to be basically a basic game, just kind of just roll all ones.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll say, instead of a gutter game, that's your favorite game, right? All ones.
Yeah, I can do it.
All ones game. Okay, so for int I equals 0, I less than 20, I plus plus, name that roll
Mm-hmm.
1. And then this assert will be assert that game.score equal to 20, right? So now I should be able to run this, and you should have one failing test.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. So to make it pass, so we have the score here. Ping.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Have a score. Right. Oh yes. Wow, it's passed. Awesome. So we have a little bit of duplicate code here, so we will kind of refactor a little bit. First, we have a lot of pattern on trying to roll mini, so we change a little bit.
So now we're going to clean up the duplication in the for loop. So we have two for loops here that look like they're identical code. So he's going to try and take those out.
Okay. This is roll. Right. Yes, please. Okay. This one just do an inline level.
Yep. Run your test. Don't forget to run your test. Run all.
Cool. So it's great. This one you can move it down.
So this is a helper method to just roll many rolls for you with the same number of pins that you wanted.
Alright. This one you can change this a little bit. So
You're gonna
expected score.
yeah. So now we're gonna do verify score. You have expected score. Oh yeah. Okay.
Please.
Then you pick up the next one. So this is another helper method. So you were asking assert that that reads weird. You just swap it with your own method that says verify score, and you verify what you expect the score is, and it will do that. In the top. Oh, in the roll menu to add the verification there, because you don't know if you're going to verify on the same thing or not, right? So here we roll 20 rolls. We have different verifications already, right? They're not the same verify implementation. How would we do that? Okay.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, in the test, right, when we read the unit test, we normally expect to see what we just go through.
Yep.
I want to see the setup, action, and then verification.
Yep. So this is arrange and act, and this is assert. That's what you have.
Alright, so okay.
What's
so
the next? What's the next test?
Okay, let's do spare. When we spare, right, we include next row as bonus. Okay, so we have again 2 rows spare for now. Like simple spare maybe 5, 5, 5, and then have another row 3, maybe another row just in case. And then the rest of the game is like all 0.
Sure.
1 for 16 times. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And the score is what? It's gonna be 10, right? Include the next one is 13, and then the next frame is 4, so it's 17 here. All right, cool.
Okay. So now it gets a little difficult, a little complicated, because now I actually have to write a lot of code to pass this. And I realized that the way I approached this was not ideal. For example, in the role here, I wasn't doing anything with the roles. I was calculating score. And I'm just returning score and score. Now this is a little bit of a lie here, because role is calculating score. This method should actually be called calculate score or score adder or something like that. So what I need to do now is I need to change a few things here so I can start to get this test working. So what I have to do is I have to ignore this test for now. I can't make this test pass because I'm going to do a lot of refactoring. So in order to refactor, you want to refactor on a green build, right? Remember the red-green refactor. So if you get to red and you cannot get it to green without refactoring first, roll it back. Take out the red so that you are in green. Clean up your code so that it's still green, and then continue with your red again, red cycle. Does that make sense to everybody? So that's what we're going to do right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and clean this up a little bit. So first off, I need the concept of a frame, because now I do need a frame. Private int roles. This is an array, the simplest implementation, and this will be new int the maximum number of rolls you can have is 21 on a game of bowling. So that's if you roll 2 times per frame all the way until 3 to the last frame. So it's and then we need roll index to figure out which index we're on right now, and this is will start at 0. And what I'm going to do here is start from the end of the array.
Start it from the end, because when you're calculating, you always calculate backwards. The strike is the first two, so you
Yep.
store two, and you're going backwards.
Mm-hmm.
You store the two and then go backwards. And then if it's an X, you know you should add 1 and 2. If it's a spare, you only add
Yep.
1.
So that's one approach, but let's do our approach here. We'll do it differently than that. You can certainly try the other approach, but I think what I would do is I would do the logical approach that would naturally come to mind, which is just go up the array. So what I'm going to do first is record the roles, which is what I need to do, and the roles will be the roll index, and then increment that, and that will be the number of pins that got dropped on this frame. And now that I'm catching up all, recording those roles now in there. Now I can actually I don't need to do this here, and when I took this out, this automatically turned gray because it's no longer needed as a private variable, because it's not a member variable. It can be simply just defined here for now. So that's what I'm going to do, and let's initialize this to 0 and calculate. Let's do the calculation. So and I'm only going to do just enough to preserve the existing functionality. So int I equal 0, I less than 20, I plus plus 21. Right? So what we're going to do is score plus equal rolls of I. So this should, if I did everything correct, this should pass. Everything should still be green. So I actually haven't changed any functionality. Everything is still preserved, which is what we're doing right now. It's just refactoring the code a little bit to clean it up, to prepare it. Now we know that this test is going to require a frame, and I can look at this and see if there's anything else I want to clean up, and nope. So now I can take that test out, unignore that test, and now I can work on the work that is necessary for this test. So now if I run this again, you'll see that it will fail, and just this one test fails. So let's do that. So what we need is another int here, which is we're going to loop on the frames to introduce frame concept. So now first let's rename this I right here. That's the frame. That's going to be the frame that we're going to loop on. And oops, sorry. There's only 10 frames, and this now will not be the frame. It will be the first of frame, which was start at 0, and this will be first of frame, and the score is the 2 rolls in a given frame plus 1, and first of frame incremented by 2. And now if I run this, I have everything passing except that last test. And the reason is I still haven't given the bonus for the spare. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say if rolls of first of frame plus roll of first of frame plus 1 equal to 10, then I want to do something here. And oh, I was right. So let's keep that in here for now. And I want to do something else. And that is going to be score, add 10, and then add the next frame's score plus equal rolls of first of frame, and then again first of frame plus equal 2. What's that?
Need to be next row.
Next row. Oh, this
You
is
need
the
to be
oh
the
plus
next
1
one,
plus
yeah.
2. That's right, because I need to get it from the next frame. You are correct. So now if I run this, everything passes. And at this point I stop. I have the condition, I have the next one, and I don't necessarily have any clear duplication that I want to remove at this point. I know there is this plus 2, and I know some people will say, take that out. But let's leave it for now. We'll come back to it. Go ahead, Mike. Do you have a question? Okay. Sounds good. So next test, I'm going to throw in the next test, and the next test will be, yeah. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We're going to wrap this up in the next 5 minutes or so. Okay, so the next test is strike, yeah. Strike. Include next 2 rows as bonus. And we're going to gain the roll. We'll do a strike, and then we'll do gain the roll. Let's do a simple one. So 3, and gain the roll 1, and this time we should add roll many, and that will be another 16 rolls of gutters, and then verify score should be 18 this time, because we're going to add the bonus of this extra one here. And now I can run this.
Alright, so now let's introduce the calculation of strike in here. So we have this one for spare. We just do another one for strike. Okay, for the strike, mean that the first row is equal to 10. Okay, cool. And we will just plus 10 for the score. And then the next 2 rows, which is first frame 1, plus 2. Alright, cool. And because of the strike, we have only 1 row in that frame.
Don't forget that.
So this one goes here. Good.
Yep.
Right.
So now
Cool.
it passes.
Right. So let's refactor a little bit. This is like a little hard to. So let's try to set it to
Okay.
this right. Right. Oh, actually, not very good. This one. This right. Right. Good. Right.
Passes. Okay.
This one is a little bit to make this spare. Right. So up there. And leave it for now. We'll do more settings. Okay, let's come to the perfect test. Alright.
So now we're ready to do a perfect game.
So let's do perfect game test. For the perfect game, we draw 10, 12 times? 12?
Yes.
Yes,
12
times,
times.
right? Okay. Right. Cool. And it shoots for 300. Right, see the test fail. One. Oh, it passed.
Pass.
That perfect game, it passed. Wow. Okay. So do we have?
So that's
It's
it.
all good. Right?
So you get to stop right here. You don't have to go any further. things to note here is that you actually have the rules of bowling documented here. And you can see them right here. That if it's a strike, you're going to get a +10 on the score, and you're going to get the bonus of the 2 next rolls. If it's a spare, you're going to get the +10 and the roll from the next frame. If it's otherwise, you just get your added of your 2 rolls. And that's it.
Yeah, we can do more recycling so that it can be a little easier. So we can make this like
Next 2 rolls.
2 rows for strike. This one. The next row for spare. And then with this,
That's it.
2 rows inside. So now it's a little easier to read. Okay, and solve still pass. Alright.
And we're done. That's it. Thank you guys. Okay.